Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. If you are angry with reality or the truth, then there's a problem with you, okay? Because nature and the truth don't care about your feelings whatsoever. And that tells us that if you're angry with reality, as I said, or things that are true, then you're dishonest. With this starting, I'm going to talk about the issue between Poland and Ukraine. I claimed numerous times that the Ukrainians in general and their leaders in particular do not like one another. And I use the historical data, the historical events between the two countries to show you that. People still think that, ignore the facts, and they say, well, this and that. Well, see, these guys confirm what I'm saying every day. These guys being the Ukrainian leadership and the Polish leadership. You can say, well, it's only some people. Well, so it was with Adolf. It was just a few people. It was not all of them, was it? So here we have, again, the spat between, which is going to end up in what I said, the three scenarios between Poland and Ukraine, depending on the outcome of what's going on right now in Ukraine between NATO and Russia. And I foresee Poland crossing the border into Ukraine and protecting the citizens of Lviv and another oblast over there, which they claim it's theirs anyway. They have territorial claims. I'm talking about Poland. Good reason, bad reason, that's up to you to look into history and realize to whom those territories belonged. So then we had a little Ukrainian advisor who made some statements which I said they were true, and he just expressed the reality, saying the Ukraine and Poland will get at it after the war in Ukraine ends. That is, we'll start competing. But competing means, really getting to the nitty-gritty. And I made a video on that yesterday, and I realized some people just got upset with statements made by some people and I would say correct interpretation of the love or lack of between the two nations in general, or the politicians. And that's not only true for the Ukrainians and the Poles, it's also true for the Russians and Poles, the Poles and the Germans, the Romanians and the Hungarians, and so on. The Hungarians and the Ukrainians, the Hungarians and the Poles, the Hungarians. Okay, and not only that. And if you think that the Germans love the French, or the Dutch love the Germans, or the Belgians like the Germans, then okay, these things are not pushed in front of us every day like the other realities, and they seem, we are all united. We're not. We're just kept together. So let's see what's going on over here. So Russia Today, these bad people, tell us today on August 7, 2023, that Poland fumes over Zelensky's aide's friendship won't last. Remarks: Mikhail Podolyak, this guy who life treats him well because he gains weight during a war. That means he eats a lot. He has a good life. Other people are starving and other people are being displaced, but he gets fatter. That means good life. All right? Unless he's sick. No, he's not. Maybe right here in the attic. Mikhail Podolyak earlier suggested that Kiev and Warsaw would compete with each other after the Ukraine conflict is over. That's a normal statement. But look what's going on here. Public figures in Poland have voiced frustration over comments made by the top aide to Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, Ukrainian President, my ass, predicted that the friendship between the two nations would only last until the end of Kiev's conflict with Moscow. Mikhail Podolyak said on Friday that once the fighting with Russia subsides, Ukraine and Poland will end up competing with each other in various markets, which is true. In response, Polish MEP Jacek Saryusz-Wolski tweeted on Sunday, and I'm quoting, "Thank you for being honest." Correct. Janusz Korwin Mike, a far-right lawmaker, according to the Russians far-right, claimed that Poland has, and I'm quoting, look at this, objectively conflicting interests with Ukraine. And I'm quoting, I repeat tirelessly, there will be a war with Ukraine, and it would be good if Russia did not support it. End quote. He wrote, yeah, they will support it, my friends, if they could, because you supported Ukrainians against Russians. He wrote, noting in a separate post that the conflict, and I'm quoting, will start with a trade war. Kazimierz Smolinski, a member of the ruling Law and Justice Party, said that while Warsaw has decided to help Kiev mainly to protect security in the region, ordinary Poles have, and I'm quoting, opened their hearts to Ukrainians fleeing their homeland. It was an order. They opened their hearts because they were told by the politicians, not because they say, yeah, bring them on. And they did what they did. They still tolerate them. That's the word. Why? That's the reality. You don't believe me? Just read some Polish newspapers and you're going to find out. And I'm quoting, and now a Ukrainian activist goes on camera and has the audacity to say such things. The ingratitude of the Ukrainian elite is reaching new levels. These and other hostile statements and actions cannot be left without consequences. End quote. Jacek Lecki, a journalist for the TVP network, described Podoliak's remarks as fatal, end quote, suggesting that, and I'm quoting, with maximum goodwill, Warsaw and Kiev could enjoy a blend of cooperation and competition after the conflict ends. And I'm quoting, however, juxtaposing friendship with competition and tying it to war sounds awful. Now we are friends because we are in need, and when the war is over, we will show what we can do, he wrote. Okay, you got it? So, my friends, these are the statements of Polish people, some Polish people, some Polish politicians, and TV personalities or whomever these guys are. Lecki noted that the dire state of Ukraine's economy means it will need Polish assistance for years to come. And I'm quoting, and he says these things, this is terribly stupid. The Ukrainians, I know, hold their heads. End quote. While Poland has emerged as a key supporter of Ukraine in its conflict with Russia, relations have been marred by a number of issues, including agriculture exports. Last month, Warsaw, along with 4 other EU members, agreed to extend the ban on Ukrainian grain imports to protect their agriculture sectors. Well, this is just a reason to, a reason or a symptom. The symptoms or the problems are back in history, and the last ones were during the Second World War. So if you look at some articles, they will tell you, recent articles, they will tell you that the Poles expect the Ukrainians to really apologize about certain massacres, they call it genocide, and committed by some Ukrainian individuals, some Ukrainian groups, and also they claim Stepan Bandera is a tralala lululu, collaborated with the Nazis and so on, which some Ukrainians, or I don't know, I can't speak for all of them, but some think that he is a hero. They they built statues to Bandera, and these guys are calling him this and that. So there's a lot of how should I put it mildly, dissatisfaction between the two countries, per se, in general. And remember, my friends, a particular rule or special rule doesn't infirm or destroy or negate the general rule. Yeah, that's a particular rule. It just reinforces the general rule, the little particular rule. So I noticed this in the United States of America when they tried to destroy our culture, and they still try to, our civilization, by saying, no, United States is not a good country, they said, because of slavery, or because of this, or because of that, ignoring the rest, and say, well, they took a few examples and say, oh, because of that, this is the reaction. It's like saying, the human race or human beings are not biped, because you got like 3 people that are, I don't know, idiots or whatever, for medical reasons they walk in 4 limbs. So they tried to destroy the general rule instead of reinforcing it using, special, examples. You don't do that, but this is the way these guys are doing it, with their cultural relativism, and not only with neo-Marxism, and that's what it is, my friends. Here, they tell us things get more heated. Why? Because the Poles, yes, they help the Ukrainians, but they don't help the Ukrainians, they help themselves. You don't want to look into that? Yeah, there's some people who said, poor Ukrainians come over. I'm totally 100% certain there are people like that. But overall, if you think that Poland just wants to help Ukraine as a country, as a, how should I put it, the politicians who are voted in the office, actually, their leadership, right? I think that's very ignorant. That's my assessment of that. And you will see. You will see, I want to say, well, history will vindicate me. I don't care about that, but I am 99% certain, or 98% certain, let's put it this way, 99 I would say, that if the Russians somehow break the front and start moving westward toward Kiev, I guarantee you 99%, I don't want to say 100, that Poland, the Polish army, will enter Ukraine in the West Ukraine, and will go until to a certain position, saying that they defend the people over there against the Russians, so the Russians do not reach, I know, Lisbon or Portugal, right, or the Atlantic Ocean, because that's their goal, we are supposed to think. And they will, based on that, they will intervene, and I foresee the Hungarians probably doing the same thing, with the acceptance of the United States of America. And we will protect, we will bring, the defenses, we're going to stop here and stop there so we can meet the Russians in between, which is going to sound like the partition or the Ribbentrop-Molotov pact between the Poles and the communists, Soviet communists, because Nazis, Germans, and not communist Soviets. Not Russians, Soviets. Stalin was not a Russian, and his leadership, if you look at the names, their real names, and their early lives, you're going to realize that there are a lot of... Okay? Now, thank you very much for being with me again today. The shit will hit the roof once, if that happens, if the Russians are going to break the Ukrainian front one day. Well, I don't think that's their goal. This is the goal these guys are. Goal meaning coming towards, Lisbon, Portugal. They tell us this is the goal. I don't think it is. I'm, again, 99% certain it's not. But let them speak. Let them get you scared, and you feel threatened by these guys all day. Therefore, you're gonna accept your money and your children's future being tossed because you gotta be afraid. So you gotta act. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.